Hi, I'm Sean Moore and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're serving up another delicious recipe for summer, strawberry shortcake. Strawberry shortcake is a go-to dessert that I had growing up, especially during picnics and barbecues. It's the perfect balance of sweet, tart, and creamy. This time, we're upgrading that flavorless sponge cake from the grocery store to something more impactful, along with a homemade whipped cream. Before we get there, if you haven't subscribed to Cooking with Taste, then take the time to do so. So let's get started. Okay, I bought 3 pounds of strawberries for my strawberry sauce, but you only need 1 to 2 pounds for the entire dessert. When strawberries are in season and the prices are good, then stock up. Let's give our berries a quick wash just to get any debris off of them. Now we can focus on hulling the strawberries. I love this time of year for a few reasons. Now I know the weather can be a little harsh, but it's definitely a motivator to go to the beach. Also, you have the chance to eat the best tasting fruits out there, especially watermelon and strawberries. To make our strawberry sauce pop, just add in a little citrus. I'm rolling my lime so the juices can release easily. Before adding the juices, it'll be wise to incorporate some sugar to the berries so it can macerate. Again, that's macerate. Now back to the lime. I like to peel the zest, which has a ton of essential oils, but it's totally optional. Give the peels a twist and toss it into the strawberries. Now comes the juice. Squeeze half of that lime juice into your strawberry mixture, and we'll save the second half for later. Give your strawberries a good stir, and after a few minutes, you can give those berries a mash. Put in some good elbow grease. Next, let's turn our burners on to medium heat. Before we heat our strawberries, scoop out about 2 teaspoons of reserved juices, and I'll explain more later. Bring the mixture to a simmer and stir occasionally. Optionally, you can add a little Grand Marnier to spice up the sauce. Pour in 1/4 cup or 50 milliliters to the pot. Now let's see if this lights up. And it won't. Okay, that's fine. So let's just move on. Add in a pinch of salt to balance out the flavors, plus an optional squeeze of honey. Now, to thicken the sauce, I'm going to combine some cornstarch, some lime juice, plus my reserved strawberry liquid. The trick with cornstarch is that you must mix it with a cold liquid. Otherwise, the cornstarch will clump up in your finished sauce. Just save yourself the headache. Now, we can incorporate the cornstarch slurry to the hot liquid. The sauce should thicken rather quickly. When that happens, just turn off the heat. Now, we can work on our shortbread. Okay, they're more like biscuits than a sponge cake, which I prefer in this case. I'm starting out by measuring 3 cups of good all-purpose flour, which will be the structure for the shortbread. Sometimes when I make shortbread recipes, I would literally chill everything, the flour too. This tip would give you super flaky biscuits, shortbreads, and etc. To the flour, we will need 2 tablespoons of sugar, along with 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1½ teaspoons of baking powder for leavening. Don't forget to add salt to the flour. I measured out 1½ teaspoons of that and give it all a good mix. For the fat, you would need 3/4 cup of very cold butter, preferably unsalted butter. Break it down into smaller slabs, like so. I like to dip the frozen butter into my flour to protect the butter from the heat of my hands. It's a baker's tip. Then I'll break the slabs into cubes. Toss your cube butter into the dried ingredients, like so, and begin to cut in the fat. Try to get the butter to a pea size. And yes, you can also use a food processor for this step. My recipe calls for buttermilk, but if you don't have buttermilk, you can always add 1 teaspoon of vinegar to 3/4 of a cup of whole milk. It works every time. Pour your buttermilk to the dried ingredients and mix slowly. To prevent overhandling, I like to use parchment paper or a silk mat to fold my dough. This rule applies if you're looking for flaky biscuits. The dough will look shaggy, which is fine. Just cut the dough in half, layer, and press. As time goes on, the flour will slowly absorb water from the butter and buttermilk, which will affect the final texture. Just continue to cut and layer the dough. If the dough gets too warm, just wrap up the parchment, pop everything into the freezer for a few minutes, and pop it back out. Continue to build these layers. You can also use a rolling pin in a pinch. Once you flatten the dough to 1 inch tall, cut out your biscuits. In my case, I prefer to cut my biscuits into squares, which reduces the waste, but you do you. Once we cut the biscuits, just pop the tray in the fridge while we heat our ovens to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, our oven is hot. Before we pop in the tray, let's give the biscuits an egg wash. The wash will give the biscuits a healthy shine and additional browning. Remember to only brush the tops and not the sides. Bake for 20 minutes. Remove from the oven and let them cool down completely. You can't have strawberry shortcake without whipped cream. I have my chilled mixing bowl, which I'll let my mixer do all the work. I also have 16 ounces of very cold heavy cream. Just pour it all into the stand mixer and whisk on high. While the cream is getting thick, pour in 1/3 of a cup of sugar. Pour in slowly. Now it's time to add our vanilla paste. Turn the speed back to high and let's check for a high peak. Not this. Continue mixing. Now this texture will work. I'm slicing up additional berries for decoration. When your strawberries are this fresh, then you have to showcase them the best way you can. If you want to go fancy, then use a piping bag along with a star tip. Remember to pack the piping bag tightly. Now, grab your flaky biscuit and pull it apart. Fill it with your whipped cream, arrange some fresh strawberries, and pipe on more cream. Crown your shortbread, and don't forget about your homemade sauce. I think I truly outdid myself on the shortbread. This is what I would call a true staple for the summer barbecue or for the beach. Just garnish with some fresh mint, and that's that. And just like that, we made the classic strawberry shortcake with the flakiest biscuit out there. The strawberries are fresh and in season, my whipped cream looks like a fairy tale, and the homemade strawberry sauce should be on everything. Most of all, I'm quite impressed by how easy each step was to accomplish. I believe anyone can make this recipe or a version of this recipe. Just try it for yourself. If you like this video and wish to indulge in more curated content by yours truly, then do me a favor by giving this video a thumbs up. Join the Cooking with Taste family. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.